Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. For today's video, we'll be taking an up-close and personal in-depth look with the new 2016 Buick Cascada. This will be an in-depth review of the Cascada. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip, go over the performance data, take a thorough road test, and show you many of the unique aspects throughout the interior as well as exterior. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in, start it up, let it run. Remote start also comes standard. Just make sure you have the vehicle locked, then hold down the button. The entry-level Cascada 1SV is only available in two colors, the standard Summit White and optional Deep Sky Metallic. However, our Cascada Premium tester is offered with your choice of 6 colors, including the aforementioned 2 plus 4 additional metallic options. This example is finished in toasted coconut, complemented by a light neutral leather interior with jet black accenting. The Cascada features electric rack and pinion steering with speed proportional variable assistance. It's light and easy to toss around at lower speeds and firms up for greater precision and stability at higher speeds. Overall, it's nicely weighted, progressive, and communicative. The hyper strut front suspension keeps things controlled, eliminating any noticeable torque steer and boosting grip where it matters the most. The stiff chassis keeps everything well composed with a general state of solidity. Despite its relatively hefty curb weight for its class, the Cascada is still pretty agile and responsive. I'd definitely consider it to be sporty. The steering is routed through a 3-spoke leather-wrapped multifunction wheel with polished trim across the lower portion and grip bolsters at 10 and 2. The leather is very soft and the cross-stitch detailing is a nice touch. The overall steering ratio is 15.2 to 1 and the turning diameter is 38.7 feet. Delivering power exclusively to the front wheels is a Hydromatic 6T45 6-speed electronically controlled automatic transmission with a 3.53 to 1 final drive. Currently, this is the only transmission in the North American market we'll receive. International markets also have the option of a 6-speed manual, which would add a lot of fun to the mix. Even so, the automatic drives great. It's relaxed and unobtrusive, not exactly sporty but smooth. It's quick to respond to kickdowns and behaves very similar to the automatic I drove in the Regal GS last year. However, you can shift the transmission manually by the console selector. No paddle shifters are offered. A backup camera with adaptive guidance lines and front and rear parking sensors comes standard. An electronic parking brake can be found in the center console adjacent to the convertible top control. The gear selector is wrapped in leather, decorated by satin brightwork. So let's go ahead and flip on the automatic and adaptive bifunction HID headlamps, front fog lamps, as well as the hazards. All 4 windows are fully automatic. Now let's go and check out the exterior, shall we? Beginning life as the German-engineered Opel Cascada that's been on sale in Europe since 2013, the Buick Cascada joins the North American market as a new model for 2016. It's the first time Buick has offered a convertible in 25 years since the 1991 Riata convertible. To anyone familiar with the new Buick Regal, itself a rebranded Opel Insignia, this reshuffling of nameplates shouldn't come as a surprise as Opels haven't been officially sold in America since the late 1970s. I actually tested out the Regal GS last year, so if you'd like to see that more in depth, check the link in the top right hand corner of this video. The influx of these rebranded cars has brought some well-appreciated diversity to the market. They're quite different from Buicks of yore, but they offer a lot of style, quality, and features. The Cascada is quite a cool little car. It's fun to drive and affordably priced for those in the market for a stylish convertible that could legitimately sit 4 people. For the international viewers, the Cascada is also sold as a Holden and a Vauxhall depending on your country of residence. There aren't any a la carte options, everything is grouped into two main trim levels. At its starting price of $33,990, the Cascada 1SV comes very well equipped with most everything you'd ever want. Our tester is the upgraded Cascada Premium, which starts at $36,990 and adds front and rear seat air deflectors to reduce interior wind buffeting. It also adds a driver confidence group, which includes forward collision alert, lane departure warning, and rain sensing windshield wipers. The most important thing is all the additional colors that are offered on the Premium, but not the 1SV. The Cascada competes in a relatively narrow market of premium 4-seat convertibles. Probably its closest rival is the new Audi A3 Cabriolet, but you'd probably want to extend your comparisons to the Volkswagen EOS and probably the Lexus IS250 convertible. The VW has been out for a while and doesn't necessarily attack the premium market, but it, like the Lexus, is a power-retracting hardtop. It's also the least expensive out of the bunch. The Lexus is the most expensive, starting at about 10 grand or so more than an entry Cascada. The Audi starts a few grand or so higher than the Cascada, but can easily top 45 grand with options. In terms of size, the Cascada for the most part is the largest out of the three. While the Lexus has a 1.5 inch longer wheelbase, I can't imagine there's a huge difference in size, which is why it's always worth a sit in person. One big plus for the Cascada, aside from price, is its class-leading trunk space, making it the most practical out of the bunch. I also like the styling. It's a very pretty car that has a lot of soft, smooth lines that fits its namesake well. Cascada is Spanish for waterfall. Design details include a low front end, a high deck lid, and a rising belt line that extends from the fast-raked A-pillars. The polished belt line trim wraps around the tonneau cover, adding a touch of elegance. Automatic pop-up roll bars positioned behind the rear headrest provide protection by rising up to 14 inches to match the height of the windshield in the event of a rollover. The general structure is shared with the Buick Verano and Opel Astra, but reinforced quite a bit and features a longer wheelbase to boost structural rigidity with the open top design. A couple examples include high-strength steel reinforced A-pillars and strengthened rocker panels. Underneath there's X-braces, V-braces, and additional brackets. Behind the rear seats there's a reinforced bulkhead to incorporate the roll bars. The only downside is that all of the reinforcements make the Cascada a relatively heavy car weighing nearly 2 tons. It's about 450 pounds heavier than both the Verano and an A3 Cabriolet. The soft top is made of multi-layer fabric, including an acoustic layer, and can be lowered in 17 seconds at speeds up to 31 miles an hour. When up, it has the stylish lines of a coupe. Even though a hardtop would likely make the interior quieter, there's just something about a soft top in this case that gives a classic look that I wouldn't trade for anything. It also saves weight over a hardtop, which is also important. LED accented bifunction HID headlamps are standard and include an auto leveling feature to maintain the proper direction over hills. The integrated LED taillamps and sculpted spoiler are key elements to the design of the trunk lid. Since they're connected, when you open a trunk, a pair of secondary lighting elements allow for greater visibility if you're pulled off on the side of the road and have to change a spare tire, a neat safety feature. There's more tasteful touches of bright work around the front and rear fascias, a polished exhaust tip, and a faux rear diffuser. All in all, I think the Cascada is a well-rounded choice that's well worth considering if you're looking for a modern drop top. The Cascada comes standard with 20-inch alloy wheels wrapped in 245/40 all-season tires. They're available in two styles. The Premium features these 5 twin-spoke gloss gray wheels with a machined outer lip. The other set uses a striking diamond cut finish. All 4 wheel wells are lined in acoustic damping cloth material to quell road noise. Providing good progressive stopping power are internally ventilated 12.6-inch disc brakes in front and 11.5-inch solid discs in the rear. Each are paired with single piston calipers. The suspension consists of GM's high-per strut independent front suspension with specifically tuned coil springs, a hollow stabilizer bar, and hydraulic ride bushings. Like we first experienced in the Regal GS last year, the high-per strut design is based on a modified McPherson strut suspension, featuring dual-path top mountings that separate the transfer of spring and damper loads to the body structure. Through improved camber control, it works to mitigate torque steer and improve the general ride and handling. This is particularly beneficial when it comes to higher horsepower front-wheel drive cars. While the Cascada is not as fast as other Buicks with high-per, it still feels very stable on hard launches. It's also said to improve impact isolation on bumps and rough surfaces, smoothing everything out. You do feel a lot of the road, which is a good thing on a sporty car, but nothing harsh is transferred to your body. The rear suspension is composed of a torsion beam and Watts Z-link to help center the axle when cornering. In other words, allowing for linear vertical travel on both sides of the axle while preventing horizontal movement for greater balance and enhanced stability, keeping it more in line with the front suspension. This setup is more compact and lighter weight than a fully independent suspension. In this case, the added room from the compact design is what primarily led to the Cascada's class-leading trunk space I mentioned earlier. Combined with a stiff chassis structure, it's a sharp-handling little car. Overall length is 184.9 inches, with a width of 72.4 inches and a height of 56.8 inches. It rides on a 106.1 inch wheelbase and has a curb weight of around 3,979 pounds. 57% of that weight rides over the front. For the North American market, the Cascada is only available with one engine option, a 1.6-liter turbocharged inline four-cylinder. It's the largest engine that Opel uses in the overseas Cascada, but ours delivers 30 additional horsepower. The engine features a cast iron block and an aluminum head with dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, continuous variable valve timing, and direct fuel injection. The compression ratio is rated at 9.5 to 1, while maximum engine speed is 6,500 RPM. It develops 200 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 207 pound-feet of torque between 1,800 and 4,500 RPM. With the engine's overboost feature, it's said to churn up to 221 pound-feet of torque between 2,200 and 4,000 RPM. Those numbers are very respectable for the class. While that's good power for the engine size, it's not necessarily a fast car. I'd estimate 0 to 60 takes between 8 and 8.5 seconds, but it still feels quick around town. A lot of all that is just because of its curb weight. I also didn't notice any real turbo lag, which is a big plus for overall response. Under harder acceleration, the engine never sounded strained. In fact, it sounds quite good. With the top down, there's a pleasant exhaust note and a bit of turbo whistle. As far as fuel economy, the EPA rates the Cascada between 20 miles to a gallon in the city and 27 on the highway. I averaged around 22-23 miles to a gallon in mixed driving. Premium fuel is recommended but not required, held within a 14.3 gallon tank. Inside, the Cascada comes standard with perforated leather upholstery and excellent build quality, featuring plentiful soft-touch surfaces across the doors and dash with touches of white and brown accent stitching. Like we discussed earlier, there are no additional options for the Cascada aside from what you get in the main trim levels. Therefore, navigation, heated seats, a heated steering wheel, and more are included on each vehicle. This two-tone light neutral and jet black interior can only be had on the Premium and offers a nice contrast over the all-black interior. Plenty of satin brightwork, subtle chrome, and glossy black trim add to the premium look. Across the doors, you'll find your power window switches, power mirrors, and small storage pockets in the lower panels. Throughout the interior, you'll find red LED ambient lighting. While it provides a sporty vibe, I think a nice cool blue would suit the Buick brand more, similar to what you would find in a Regal, but to each his own. Both of the front seats are fully powered and feature 4-way power lumbar adjustment. You also have these small little storage pockets at the outer edges that are basically the perfect size to stick a smartphone. I love the styling of the seats and the way the perforations are designed across the middle, very unique and different. The ribs across the middle give a bit of a sportier feel. In general, the seats are on the firm side, but they're very comfortable. You have good lateral support across the side and enough padding where it matters the most. There's a manual tilting, telescoping steering wheel, and the headrests are adjustable. One of the coolest things I think about the interior are these power retracting seatbelt extenders. When you close the door, they automatically pop out to make reaching the seatbelt that much easier. The only other car I've ever seen something like that in is the Bentley Continental, so it's pretty cool to see something like that in this price point. I think the general styling and layout of the interior is fantastic. When it comes to the ergonomics and button layout, being that the Opel Cascada was debuted about 3 years or so ago, it's a little bit outdated compared to 2016 standards, but I wouldn't let that turn me off by any means. It's a very functional interior, everything is easy to use. Once you get used to the whole layout and everything like that, it becomes second nature. The glove box is damped and offers a generous amount of space. It's all lined in soft-touch material with some illumination and a 2-tier design. As far as airbags, there's 6 throughout the interior, including 2 seat-mounted side airbags and knee airbags for the driver and passenger. I love the accent piping across the floor mats that are also logoed. It adds a cool contrast to the light neutral color theme. The bottom left-hand side of the dash houses a small storage tray right beneath your lighting controls. Again, I love the dash layout and how everything is put together. It looks very nice, with plenty of soft-touch material. When the top is up, you have a full black headliner. We'll talk about overall backseat space and amenities later in the video, but just to give you a quick look, when you grab that little handle and tip the backrest forward, the seats slide forward automatically, which is a pretty cool feature for the price point. Out back, it's a nice space with cup holders, ample storage, good build quality, the unique perforations, and good space for a smaller convertible. Like I said earlier, the Cascada Premium comes with a pair of air deflectors to reduce wind buffeting throughout the interior. They come packaged neatly within their own carry-in bag along with an instruction sheet. The smaller one clips in behind the rear seat. You have to fold the seats down first, remove a little cap, and then slide it in place. The larger one unfolds and pops in a pair of small holes in the side panels. They make a significant difference driving down the road. There's less air disturbance in the cabin, making conversations easier and the stereo more audible. It even made a significant difference when it came to my GoPro camera audio, which was quite clean despite not having a wind-resistant case on it. So let's go ahead and see how she sounds, both sitting still and on the road. Now let's go ahead and put the top back up. Once the top is up, just pull up this little button right here, and that brings up all 4 windows automatically. We'll go ahead and shut her up and check out some of the interior features. Like I told you earlier, once you close the door, the seatbelts are automatically brought to you. The Cascada comes standard with a 7-speaker premium audio system routed through a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system. You have standard satellite radio, iPod auxiliary, USB integration, hands-free Bluetooth technology and audio streaming, internet radio options with your smartphone like Pandora and Stitcher, and a 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot. At the base of the A-pillars, you have these small little quarter windows for better visibility, and up top, both the driver and passenger feature padded visors, along with illuminated vanity mirrors. The rearview mirror is auto-dimming with your OnStar controls right beneath, and in the top stack you have your reading lamps and hands-free Bluetooth microphones. The infotainment system is pretty straightforward. The overall design and layout has been around for quite a while now. It's not as streamlined as some of GM's newer products, like the refreshed IntelliLink system used in the Regal GS we took a look at last year. This system is practically identical to the GMC Terrain I uploaded recently. You just have a lot more buttons in the center stack to go through, but once you figure it all out, again, it's very self-explanatory. One thing I do like about it is that you can use the touchscreen interface, but there's a ton of redundant controls, whether it be for your home screen, navigation, telephone, or all of your audio commands. There's also a rotary wheel in the middle that you can use to scroll between options that makes things a little bit easier when going down the road. Within the home screen, there's actually 3 different menus you can scroll through, and it's all customizable, so you can move around the icons to whatever layout suits you best. Again, you can use the rotary wheel to go between the different options and press down in the outer ring of the wheel to select an option. In the middle of that wheel, there's an arrow pad that you can go up, down, left, and right, such as in navigation, to select a custom destination. There's real-time traffic updates and easy-to-use destination entry. To easily access your media, just hit Now Playing. Of course, there's different icons throughout the home screen that you can select particular options, but within Now Playing you can also hit Source List and go between your internet radio options, Bluetooth, USB, and more. With the hands-free telephone system, you can voice dial, store multiple devices, there's a built-in phone book, and you can manually dial. If we scroll through the different pages of the home menu, you'll notice a lot of icons represent shortcut keys for many of the features we talked about already. Real-time weather updates come with it with extended forecast, current conditions, there's configurations, so various system settings, and you can adjust the tone settings from the home menu as well. Along with the weather updates, other SiriusXM data features include local movie listings as well as fuel prices. Continuing down the center stack, right beneath all of the infotainment controls, you have a standard dual-zone electronic automatic climate control system. You have 3-stage heated seats for both the driver and passenger, as well as a heated steering wheel. Temperature adjustment, controlled by those 2 dials there, different zones, and fan speed. In the very bottom just ahead of the gear selector, you have a 12-volt power outlet, little storage tray, as well as media integration, both USB and auxiliary. On back, right behind the convertible top, little window control and the electronic parking brake I talked about earlier is 2 cup holders, padded center console. You can slide it forward and backward for a little bit of extra comfort. It has a pretty decent amount of space. Modest but functional. It also locks in place so you don't have to worry about it slamming down if you're not holding it. As far as the steering wheel, on the left-hand side you have your cruise control as well as activation of your forward collision alert system. On the right-hand side you have your hands-free telephone and voice commands as well as radio controls.
Please say a command.
Help.
What do you need help with? Please say radio, phone, my media, navigation, or settings. For OnStar speech commands, say OnStar. For help with other commands, say other commands. If you need to exit the session, say goodbye.
Behind the steering wheel on the right you have your rain-sensing windshield wipers. To the left-hand side, turn signals, high beams, as well as the controls for the driver information system. This shows up in that little red digital display in between the instrument cluster. You have vehicle information, as well as trip fuel information. Then you can use the little rotary dial right there to select between the various options. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and shut her down. Alright, so let's go ahead and hop in the back seat of the Cascada. Like I showed you a second ago, these seats are fully electric, so to climb in the back, all you have to do is just grab this little black handle, tip it forward, and the seat does the rest, which is a pretty nice feature to have. Climbing in really isn't too hard for a smaller convertible, at least for me. I'm 5'10". Once you hop in, just pull the backrest, and then it'll actually start to encroach upon your legs a little bit if you're taller, and it automatically detects that and pushes the seat forward like a couple inches or so to give you some pretty good breathing room back here. Speaking of space, I'm 5'10", and with the seat set at what the car just did, I have about 1.5 inches of leg space, which seems more than enough. I mean, I don't see any problem with someone being able to sit up there just fine, even a little bit taller. Headroom, my hair is just barely touching the headliner right here, but still, I'd say it has about 1/2 inch, maybe even 1 inch of give, but that would be pushing it. It's decently comfortable back here as well. There's a lot of padding, a little bit of lateral bolstering up top and down below. It's surprisingly roomy back here. I mean, it's not something that I'd want to take an extended trip in, but you can certainly sit back here and maybe close to 6 feet or so. I wouldn't push it past that unless it's for like strictly temporary use. But as far as the amenities back here, I mean, just like the front, you have nice attention to detail and build quality. Up top, you don't have any sort of hard plastic material. It's that nice soft touch that you have on the upper front doors. You have the padding across the middle with the accent stitching, good armrest, and some high-gloss black trim. In the console right here, there's a small little storage tray at the very bottom, a 12-volt power outlet. You have 2 seat back pockets for additional storage, extra tray there, 2 cup holders, and vertically adjusting headrests. Aside from it being decently roomy, it's also, I mean, it doesn't feel claustrophobic back here at all. I mean, the car has a lot of glass. You have big windows back here, decent little window back there, but I mean, looking out this way, it's very open. This seat can also fold 50-50 split if you need some additional cargo space, and I'll show that when we get to the trunk portion, but that's about it for the back seat. Really nice environment, good and comfortable and surprisingly roomy. So let's go ahead and check out trunk space. The Cascada's trunk can be opened up from the key fob or by pressing the Buick emblem on the deck lid. With the top up, the Cascada has a respectable 13.4 cubic feet of cargo space, made even greater by folding the 50-50 split rear seat. The seats fold down electrically by 2 buttons within the trunk. As long as they have sufficient clearance, they'll fold pretty much flat. If you wanted to fold the seats for greater interior storage, you can also bring down this little divider that'll actually block the opening from within the trunk. When the top is down, however, total space drops to just 9.8 cubic feet. In order to lower the top, you actually have to lower this larger divider down, which pretty much zaps the majority of space. You can still stow a bunch of stuff, but it'll be difficult loading anything larger than a small carry-on suitcase. There's plenty of illumination inside for low light working, a temporary spare tire underneath the trunk floor, and those secondary safety lights like I mentioned earlier. The latter works with both the normal lights and the hazards. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2016 Buick Cascada. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's always a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.